Hello! Good morning, fellow cinephiles, fellow filmmakers, fellow film lovers, and welcome to Movie Mama Reviews The Terminator. The thing that makes this film so appealing, I think, is that it's not only a sci-fi film, but it's also, in a way, a horror film. In a horror film, you always have the slasher or the villain, the serial killer who chases down its victims, and in this film, it's just a robot. It's the Terminator. But because he looks human, this makes him all the more terrifying. He blends in with the crowd. Here at this club, no one can tell he's a robot, except, when he does stuff like this. And even then, that's what adds to it. I mean, you don't know you're at a club with a robot until he fucking brings out the big laser gun. Today we're gonna review The Terminator, because it is a good film. Okay, The Terminator is not like an amazing film. It's not like right? But it is very iconic. Like, everyone knows the Terminator, alright? People know the I'll be back.
I'll be back.
Here James Cameron does something that every horror movie has copied ever since. Sarah Connor drops something, bends down, and the Terminator appears looking for her, but barely misses her. Even if we don't know it, the Terminator has affected the way we watch movies, or the way movies are made. People know the whole sunglasses thing, they know Arnold Schwarzenegger, because, let's admit it, Conan the Barbarian was... But the Terminator was like, who is this guy? Americans took notice, Americans loved it. And not only that, but before this, no one knew who James Cameron was. If you don't know who James Cameron is right now, James Cameron is Titanic, Avatar. But his best films are Terminator, Terminator 2, Aliens. Aliens is a good film. And if I have to place action films on like a pedestal, I would say that it would be Die Hard. Die Hard is like the perfect action film, a very good Christmas film. And then after that it'd be Aliens, and then after that it'd be Terminator 2. But the thing is that none of these films could have happened without the Terminator, the original one. And there's a lot of interesting backstory to the Terminator. Because it was James Cameron's second movie ever, he wanted to write and direct it, and a lot of studios were like, well, no one knows who you are, why should you get to direct it? I mean, this is a good script, but we want someone else to direct it. And so he said, fuck that, and he went to a bunch of different studios, right? And he got to one where he had a friend. Like, it wasn't the head boss, I can't remember her name. It was like Hold or Told or something. Oh, that's Heard. That's what I was talking about earlier. She didn't actually write any of the film, but she wanted a credit for taking his dollar. The assistant says, we'll buy your script. We will buy that script for $1. If you want to direct it, we will buy it for $1. And Cameron said, perfect. All I want to do is direct the movie. And the thing is that no one thought it was going to be anything. I mean, even Arnold Schwarzenegger hated the movie. In an interview, he was wearing the Terminator shoes because he had just finished shooting one of the scenes and he was doing an interview. He was being interviewed at the time for Conan the Destroyer, the sequel to Conan the Barbarian, and the guy asked him about his shoes, the interviewer. He said, oh, what's up with those future-y looking shoes? And Arnold Schwarzenegger said, some movie I'm doing, some shit film, take 2 weeks. It wasn't the perfect Arnold Schwarzenegger accent. Have you guys seen Jingle All the Way? That's a really good Christmas movie too, and I can do those quotes like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like check it out. Put that cookie down, now! See what? You can see me in the reflection, but when the movie starts, I don't think you'll be able to see me very well. This is way better than picture-in-picture. This is like movie in shadow. This is Orion. This is the people who didn't think this movie was going to do well. This is what Los Angeles is going to look like, apparently, soon. 2029. There was a show called The Outer Limits. It was sort of like The Twilight Zone. And this guy who wrote an episode for that said that this movie was a ripoff of one of his episodes. So Orion had to pay him money to shut up and not tell anyone. Because even if it wasn't, they didn't want people thinking it was. I don't remember who that is. Whenever Cameron pitched the film, he had his friend dress up like the Terminator and kick the door open wearing the leather jacket. and sit down in the chair all badass, and then Cameron didn't even come in for another like 2 minutes, and then when Cameron came in, they were like, okay, what was that? But then he showed them all these sketches and all these things that proved to them he was very passionate in this movie. Also, this was so low budget, they recorded everything in mono instead of stereo. And there's his directing credit, which he wanted so badly. The Terminator! This guy was driving a car, and then out of nothing, just electricity started killing him. And there he is, naked. Look at me, Los Angeles. Look at my butt. I can't remember. This guy is someone famous. I wish I remembered.
Your clothes.
Give them to me. He ripped out his heart. Movie Mama, what did you think about that last scene with the clothes?
Perfect! Even better than Mama.
Wait, you thought he took the clothes off better than you take clothes off people? Films these days explain everything. And here, I mean, besides my incessant talking, the film didn't really tell you what's happening. It's up to you to decipher it. And I think that's part of the mystery, part of the intrigue. See, in a contemporary film, they would have a scene where they're reviewing his special ops or whatever and say like, he's very sufficiently trained.
What year?
See, he asked for the year, so now you know he's from the future. And we saw him outrun the cop, take his gun from him, and get away. So we know that he's well trained. And the film didn't have to tell us any of this. We deciphered it on our own. Also, the way we distinguish the good guy between the bad guy. Arnold Schwarzenegger's character run over a toy truck, and we've seen him push a man out of the way. We saw him take that heart out, right? So we know he's the villain. And this is important in films because if you watch a film like The Crystal Skull, directed by Steven Spielberg with George Lucas, the problem with that film is that you couldn't tell who was the bad guy, was it the Russians or the Americans, and it made it very muddy. And even if you didn't notice, your brain did. And I suggest you go watch Mr. Plinkett's review on Red Letter Media because it's very, very analytical. And knowing who your villain is very important. And scenes like that, not showing sympathy, those emphasize such points. Look, they're getting ready to go on a night out. They're having fun, girl time.
Perfect! Even better than Mama.
Whatever, Mama, no one parties better than you. As important as it is for us to not like the villain, it is also important for us to care about the protagonist. Scenes like this tell us how fun Sarah Connor is. They got ready so fast.
Wow! A new record!
Yeah, I guess it is a new record. Is that what you said? A new record? Now, this is a scene that I admire a lot as someone who wants to make movies. In the 70s, gore was very cheesy and laughable, but it's directors like James Cameron and David Cronenberg who really wanted to push the boundaries with special effects and makeup and make the audience squeamish instead of gleeful at the sight of gore. It's shots like these and scenes like these that paved the way for Hostel and Saw. Sam Raimi was also a big one too with The Evil Dead, but these, such as Videodrome and The Terminator and Evil Dead, they are landmarks of gore. You have to hand it to the cast. This film has a wonderful cast who took a script that could have easily been cheesy and hammed up and instead made it almost believable to the audience. And that's part of the horror, because if you don't believe that this Terminator is who he is and that Kyle needs to save Sarah Connor as badly as he needs to save her, then the moments don't work as well. This shot is very Un Chien Andalou, and I'm almost certain that it's based on it. This poor police officer.
Great! You gave it your best effort.
Yeah, I guess he did give it his... Movie Mama, you're scary. What makes this movie so amazing is that it's the little movie that could. Just like the Terminator is the little robot that could. This movie rose out of a fire that said this film was never going to be a hit, and this film was just going to be low-budget sci-fi, and it became one of the most iconic, remembered movies of not only sci-fi and action and slashers or thrillers, but of all cinema. And it's because of James Cameron's passion. And sometimes I wish directors would just return to that. I wish they would try and excel, because right now James Cameron isn't focusing on being iconic anymore. He doesn't have to. He's already made this film. Instead, he relies on making blockbuster big bucks like Titanic and Avatar. Avatar, more so than Titanic, is sort of just a shallow film where nothing new happens. It's all about visuals. It was a tech demo for technology. Whereas this film showed that if a filmmaker really wanted to, he could make something amazing, epic, and triumphant. With the smallest budget and with no backing, you can sell your script for $1 and make The Terminator, a film which, if anything, launched careers and really sparked the imagination of little kids like me. Movie mama, The Terminator just won't die.
Don't worry, Mama will fix this.
Huh? Huh?
It's like a slasher film, I'm torn in opposite directions. The plot sucks, but the cure